Dr. Dayaba would help us get to understand that feel. But just before we get to take that question, let's welcome Michaela Moye. Michaela, thank you very much. Michaela,
thank you for having me.
Yeah, she was with us last week. She is a caregiver to those with mental health conditions. Michaela, thank you very much for coming and joining us again.
Thank you for having me on the show again.
You know, when I get to you now, you're going to first give us a picture of what being a caregiver is, because, yeah, when you say caregiver, I usually remember our friends abroad who go and many of them do caregiving job. Maybe you explain that to us. But that quickly, Dr. Dayaba, talk about postpartum
depression. Okay, yes.
I mean, why would I want my baby?
Good. So it's the illness, and it usually starts in an insidious pattern, like it seeps in gradually. Do you understand? A lot of women will tell you that because it's a whole different phase of life, especially if you're a first-time mother. Do you understand? And for obvious reasons, it's only women that have babies, so postpartum depression only affects women. So could there be hormonal factors that come into play? Could there be a genetic predisposition to depression in the first place? Because not all women that have babies suffered postpartum depression.
Okay.
And that's why, we preach a lot of rest for new mothers, because you find out that babies bring a lot of joy. Everybody wants to see the baby. Everybody wants to greet the mother. Everybody has expectations of the mother. Everybody is giving their own tips. Oh, you need to do this. You need to do that. Forgetting that human body actually just went through one of the most rigorous processes ever. The process of labor and bringing forth, life. So they sleep less because now there's another life they're responsible for, the midnight feeds, and all that stress. So additional stress on the mind and getting their body back. So over time, the stress, assault on the brain, then they start to feel low, they start to feel exasperated, they start to feel overwhelmed. Do you understand? And you start hearing things like, I just don't want to talk to anybody, I don't want to greet anyone. So social withdrawal. They're losing interest in the baby. And then if they're surrounded by people who do not understand it as well, they're blamed again. Oh, she doesn't mean well. Oh, she's she's evil.
Yeah,
how can a mother not like the baby? Again, there are two different conditions, because it could be depression, it could be puerperal psychosis. So when we're talking of psychosis means there's a distortion in the thought process. They're beginning to either hear voices, those are the ones that are actually trying to even harm the baby or kill the baby, or so it's getting more severe. Right. So I think the learning here is people should understand that new mothers need a lot of support, and there is something called postpartum depression that needs medical care, clinical care.
So the partners,
because yes, we've gotten to a stage where you hear people normalizing this. They tell you things like, that's how motherhood is. Once you become a mother, you don't sleep. But you go, some centers you deliver, they actually come to take the baby away from you, so tell you that for how long do you want to stay, do you want to rest? So 2 hours we take the baby to the nursery and you rest, because they understand the need for that rest.
Okay, postpartum depression. I think postpartum is a whole different.
Yeah.
That's a whole day work on its own. I want today to be many of these messages as possible. This person is asking mental depression. Okay, no, there's a question I wanted you to take, Michaela.
Okay.
It is what's the difference between a doctor and if a person says a first aider, but you say you're not a first aider, you are a caregiver. So what's the difference between she and I think I understand the doctor is the one that treats. You, what do you do?
Well, so a caregiver basically makes sure that the person that they're caring for is safe, is secure, and is comfortable and is stable. So no matter the kind of caregiving, if it's just physical or if it's physical and psychological, the person has to be stable, comfortable, and secure. And there are all kinds of tasks that are related to this, also depending on how severe or how mild the symptoms of the person who is receiving care, how mild or the symptoms are.
Do you have to be always available, always present?
It really depends. So for example, I go to work. I work 9 to 5. I'm here.
That's right.
Exactly. And the person I take care of is fully functional. He can, he takes care of himself. They take care of themselves. They cook, lead a basically normal life, right?
So basically depends on the needs, the daily needs of the person.
Exactly. So it depends on the daily needs of the person. Some people need constant attention, constant care, and some people will develop, the symptoms change. People could start out needing almost 24/7 surveillance, and after a while that would develop into maybe just needing someone to check in on them once a week or once a day. It really depends. So the responsibilities of a caregiver, there are some basic responsibilities, but they really vary. It's very wide, and it's all dependent on the person who is receiving care.
Yeah, and I think it depends on how functional the person is. That's what you're saying. Exactly. So some people are fully dependent, some people are semi-dependent. So the task of the caregiver will depend on how much
on how much support the person requires.
Okay, well then, but there is a first aider.
Okay, so they're psychological first aiders. So they're trained to be able to, the way you have first aid. So if there's an accident by the side of the road, it's the first aider that does the first level care. So imagine a situation where maybe there's trauma, maybe there's a raid, maybe a neighborhood armed robbery or something. So a mental health first aider can actually do the initial crisis intervention, talk to the person, de-escalate the chaos, and then be able to do a form of triage to say, okay, I've spoken to these ones need a higher level care, and then they signpost and they refer. So it's the same thing.
We'll take the next report now. When we go on this break, I will run through many of these questions so that we can take them back to back as soon as we get back from this report. Now, this report is one of the ones we actually featured last week, and it was quite interesting. It has to do with those in the entertainment industry who have gone through one depression or another, just for us to, have a feel of it.
I can change the past, but I to revive you slowly. I keep moving on. It was just like a movie.
In a 2015 survey by Stage, Equity and Spotlight, 1 in 5 people working in entertainment have actually sought help for their mental health. But this figure may well underestimate the true extent of the problems in the sector. In September 2018, singer Ari Song shocked fans with an Instagram post stating, "Don't cry when I die. Celebrate. Put up a Kingmaker concert. I have lived. I have done my bit. Carry on in grace." About 22 hours later, his manager stated that Ari Song was dealing with slight emotional issues and he had booked a session with an emotional intelligence coach. In 2021, Wela Ololade, also known as KV, withdrew from Big Brother Naija barely a week into the show on medical grounds.
I'm bonding so well. They are good people. They've been so friendly, generous as well.
He later explained it was because he had a mental breakdown. In a statement, KV says he underestimated the effect isolation would have on his mental health and integrating with other housemates. Also in Nigeria, the likes of Tonto Dike, T-Bills, Toyin Abraham and Inyanya have all experienced a form of mental illness. In the case of Hollywood star Robin Williams and legendary fashion designer Alexander McQueen, they lost the battle to depression by taking their lives. Robin Williams brought some of the most magical movie experiences, while Alexander McQueen is a globally acclaimed brand. But mental illness is no respecter of fame or status. There are music stars who have been depressed and considered quitting because of a bad reception of their music album. The stress of a world tour got to Canadian singer Shawn Mendes as he cancelled his tour to focus on his mental health. Justin Bieber, in his YouTube docu-series Seasons, gave fans an inside look at his struggles with addiction and mental health challenges.
I was a good kid, but I was still like a shithead. I was bad in school. I was always a class clown. I never really respected authority like that.
The stigma around mental health can make one hide their pain and try to deal with things behind closed doors. While many famous people have decided to come forward and be transparent about their mental health struggles, discussing the issue does not always mean that you can overcome it. Some of these famous stars have survived it, while others did not.
Madam, monkey I know dey for the village where I will go buy am. Yes. So now you walk out. I know what you're saying. Madam, I carry some money.
The shocking death of actress Adame, popular for her role as Emu Johnson in African Magic television series The Johnsons, has brought about lots of questions. She revealed on a television show that she was suffering max depression even before her daughter's death. These entertainers make every effort to put a smile on the faces of their fans through their creative works. But beneath that smile of joy could be a troubling personality who is dealing with life. They are in the business of de-stressing you and keeping you entertained. Are you the source of their worry? Do you troll them for fun? You just may want to remember that they are just as vulnerable as everyone else.
Okay, alright, if you just join us, the program is the Medley Show on the Nigerian Television Authority, and we are taking a look at depression on the program today. Our phone line is 081-177-82020. Managing your mental health is our focus today. Alright, I said when we get back from that break, we will be taking as many messages as possible. So, and I still have with me Michaela Monye. She is a caregiver, and of course Dr. Dayab Bashuaibu. She is a mental health physician. Now there's this question I would like us to take a look at very quickly. Okay, as many as possible. Hello doctor, I feel depressed and lonely sometimes. I feel like lashing out on my daughter or beating her, and sometimes I feel like crying and shouting out. I feel unloved. I need help, please. Can you touch on that very quickly?
Yeah, irritability.
Okay.
Can be the first sign of depression.
Okay, we'll just add the person who talk about mood swing. Someone else is talking about mood swing here.
Yeah, depression is a mood disorder.
Okay.
So we should be mindful of that. It falls under the category of mood disorder. So the fact that you're even feeling low, already points towards a mood issue. Right. So the mood swing, of course, we need to know how far apart the swings are, because I said it's a mood disorder. Could it be bipolar? That means is the person swinging from very low mood to very elated mood, or is the person just swinging from I feel good now, I'm low, I feel good? Remember the definition I gave of depression is a feeling, persistent low mood for most part of the day, every day for at least 2 weeks. So does that mean for most part of the day I'm low, but at some point in the day I come back normal? So is that what she's referring to as mood swings? Back to the irritability, it could be one of the early signs. So you find out that you're lashing out at everyone, you're feeling very irritated, you just want to be alone. Weepy spells is also a core feature of depression. So people cry more often than usual. You find yourself crying a lot, you're telling yourself a lot of things. Sometimes you're just talking to people and then you break down in tears. It's a feature of depression as well. So this person sounds like someone who's struggling with symptoms of a low mood, which is depression. But of course, further evaluation is important. Like I said, you need to ask questions to see that the person meets the criteria before you assign a diagnosis. So that's why that's the importance of seeing a professional. Because with mental health issues, we're afraid of labels.
Yes, we have to normalize seeing a practitioner, because some they say, I want to go and see a psychiatrist. Hey, says you don't crazy. So that's usually the thing. All right. I know you talk about words, using kind words. I know that's why you have that your word of hope thing, words of affirmation. Michaela, how does that work?
Well, for everyone involved, I understand that it can be challenging. further for caregivers or for just family and friends of a person who is living with a mental illness, it can be challenging because generally Nigerians, we're very jocular, and we make jokes about things that might be considered insensitive, in other crimes. So it will take a lot of work, but it's something that we can do. We can be mindful of our words. Personally, I use affirmations for myself. I tell myself positive things, and I try to use that to calm myself when I then have to be involved in my caregiving duties, because they in themselves can be very challenging.
That's right.
Yes. So positive words of affirmation. Do things like watch comedies. When I find myself,
self-care, isn't it? Self-care.
Okay, because like you said last week, you have to care for yourself.
Exactly.
Caregiver have to be cared for. Okay.
Exactly.
Mike, let's take many more questions. Now let me try to group a couple of these together. And some of these questions have to do with someone is talking about a lady he wants to get married to. He really loves her, but she's going out with other married men, but he's still very much emotionally involved with her. What does he do? And he's feeling depressed about it. Someone else is saying that he loves someone who doesn't seem to love him back, but but he just cannot let go, and every time he feels depressed about it. Can we just marry those two together?
So I think it's the issue of matters of the heart. It's very easy to tell someone to, of course, things that make us happy. You have a good relationship, you're happy with someone, you're in love, it lifts the mood, isn't it? And if it's the other way, the mood just goes down. So I think number one thing for people to note is the issue of self-love and self-care, right? Because you need to understand that being in a relationship should add to you and not take away from you, isn't it? So first of all, don't place that responsibility of being happy on someone else. It is your responsibility. Do the things you enjoy, do the things that make you happy, such that if you're now in a relationship, you're supposed to add to that, such that if anything happens to that relationship, it takes away that addition, but the baseline remains. But if this thing is already taken away from whatever you have as your reserve, then you might need to reconsider it and look at it. Do you understand?
I think that one good thing that we can also do in these kinds of situations is just to manage our expectations. Have expectations first of all of what you want coming out of this romantic relationship, and then manage those expectations, because how you feel in your mind or in your soul or whatever is not the same way another person is going to feel, even if that person is your intended or your spouse. So manage your expectations of other people, and like she said, take care of yourself, so that if things don't work out, and if you see things are not working out, then be brave enough to
you should be able to guide your own spirit.
Yes, because you I'm sure you get a lot of comments on, financial, I'm broke, so I'm depressed, in a relationship, I'm depressed, there's something called, the dimensions of wellness. We need to nurture ourselves when we're well before we tilt to the illness side.
Okay, I have to go now. I have messages on many of this. Someone talked about always being depressed whenever he's going home to go and meet his partner
Social
at
wellness.
home. Yeah, some are talking about disappointment in marriages. Some are talking about
Social
jobs.
Occupational wellness.
I'm sorry. There's so many. I see your messages on text message and on WhatsApp. I think as much as possible, we've answered many of your questions as possible. But if there are some specific ones that I need to direct to Dr. Dayaba or Michaela, I will do so. So thank you very much for being part of the program. Michaela, I thank you very much for coming around again. You have to teach us how to be a caregiver. Everyone should be a caregiver. That's right. Somehow.
Even if it's for themselves, eh?
Even if for yourself. Dr. Dayaba, always nice to have you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. And from me, I want to say, always stay safe, take care of yourself, and that is very, very important. My name is Cecil, signing out.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can watch NTA International live on your TV, computer, iPad, tablet and phone. Log on to visiontv.co.uk and click on Entertainment, then NTAI. You can also download the iOS or Android app on your mobile devices to watch NTA International on the go, anywhere in the world. NTA International, your window to the world.
Although social media as a channel of communication is inherently harmless, it becomes harmful and damaging when used without discretion and thoughtfulness. Bad social media users spread rumors and fake news without verification. But good social media users stop, reflect, and verify information before sharing it. Be a good social media user. Stop the spread of fake news. Verify the authenticity of your source and use social media responsibly for a better Nigeria. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, in collaboration with the National Orientation Agency.
This is the network service of the NTA.
I did my house 2014 when they call me. I then call me say my pikin dey for SARS at Ikeja. I run to SARS at Ikeja. From there, they took my son to court. From court, they leave my son there for 2 years at the Krikri without bringing him back.
As I dey marketplace, I said my son call me. He said the police came to arrest him. He went to go and wash plates at the backyard. Now somebody just hold his waist. Then come, you are under arrest. Then my son, for what now? He said, you don't know what you are saying. You are going to SARS. Kiri straight. Then my son, what happened, Oga? Now so they begin to beat them, even to reach that place. That's when that one landlord ran away. One landlord no stay. Now so they begin to treat my pikin with his friend and one boy there, Peter. That was just packed in. Never reach anywhere. And so the case started. Begin the we don't spend money.
They said they meet Junior inside in the house that he was charging phone and laptop. So they took the laptop, I don't just understand, just go like that. They say say na robbery, say Lori Ebi Akim, they went to Omodele house and robbed Omodele and took Omodele car. Then they say Omodele, he himself, now he see the car for road, whether they drive the car, they waka. If they drive the car, the Abbas, they drive car waka, now Omodele see him. Now they go ask Abbas for where he workshop, they wait, they do mechanic. Who get this car? The boy say, now he get the car. Who get this car? The boy say, now he get the car. Now from there, they say make he get up because say na police. Not me get car, na person give me duo. Abi, from there carry them. From there he carry them, go the house where Akim Papa house. Because Akim Papa be that house, and I be the senior. I be the owner of the house now because nobody. From there they took Junior, took a Prosper, took the other boy. Because some other people are running, they run. Even some women self, they leave wetin they do, they run for the compound. Very close to where I'm living before. My pikin go charge laptop there as he tell me. He go charge laptop there, now they carry am. Like tenant wey dey there, they carry am. Two tenants wey dey there, they carry am. Plus my pikin go charge laptop there.
After the landlord dey carry the motor come, he get fault, so he go give Abbas make he repair am. So as Abbas go repair am finish now, he wan go go test am whether the motor good. Na say the owner see am for the one street inside there. Na so they catch am. He ask am say, are you the owner of the motor? He say yes. Okay, how? Where you just buy a clinic, you just dey ask am question and not knowing that the man don go call SARS people say, I don't see my motor where I lost when I call so street. Now from there they catch the motor. Since then all of them they kiri.
That boy now don dey there over 7 years, getting to 8 years without nothing. And the complainer don prove that these three boys plus my son Junior is not among, you know, see them. This one now they just keep on there like say nothing. Is it because I poor?
Now it's only my brother. As I go tell him that way the day SARS, that one is police officer, although now he's late. He said I should bring 50,000. I say, if you carry me up or down, where I want to see 50,000. You know, if you help your sister, collect more money, you know, make them help me release her. You say no release her. Now so they carry my pikin go. I don't get anybody, that no day. As is there all of them, they there.
You know, they fight. Keeping him long like this is. I don't tire. I don't sick, tire. Now help me. Nigeria, beg me, now help me.
I represent the first, third, and fourth defendants. There are 5 defendants in this matter. One of the defendants has been sentenced to death in another matter that is unconnected to this one. And because of his absence today, we were unable to proceed. And that is actually one of the reasons why we've been having multiple adjournments, because of his absence in court due to security concerns, etc. But before the just concluded court dates, the court had already given an order directing the Comptroller General to present him in court. So I believe that they will make whatever arrangements that needs to be done to ensure that there will be no security issues regarding his being present.
I have a lawyer. The lawyer himself, he no do well for me. The second one, now they go with now woman. Now I see movement small. I don't know what in Nigeria want me to do. No know what the government want make I do. That boy na innocent. No know anything. No.
Yeah, you know, and mama, we have one lawyer that time. Everybody they go together. Sometimes they'll say bring money, we'll give lawyer. Later, as mama can't die, then yeah, you know, say he with children don't go gather money. Me, I don't get anybody. I don't get lawyer. I can't lie. Now God be my lawyer.
While there is an unending list of offences that may get one arrested, being at home on a lazy morning is definitely not one of them. 18-year-old Junior Chukwudozie Ajokuji and his 23-year-old friend Prosper Adaye were in Mama Prosper's room on the morning of the 6th of November 2014 and had no inkling that their lives were about to take a drastic turn. Policemen from the Afonka police station in Sasha, Egbeda, Lagos came searching for Hakeem Lawal Olorebi, the landlord who was accused of armed robbery. Hakeem was not home, but the police reportedly arrested all the males in the compound in his stead. Hakeem Lawal was eventually arrested, but the other men were not released. Junior, Prosper, and Peter were charged for armed robbery alongside the mechanic and the accused and have been in Kirikiri Medium Correctional Center since then. According to their mothers, their sons are victims of arbitrary arrests by the Nigerian police force.
So Omadele will get the case. After 2 years, so they lock them for court. We can't go back to court. Omadele can confirm my presence at the court that these 3 boys, they are not innocent because they are 5. Hakeem, Lori Ebi, and Abbas, and Prosper, and the 5th boy. So you start going to court. Omadele confirmed one day that those 3 boys, they are not there. And to say they are not there, I don't know why they are still keeping those 3 boys then there. The people that have case, they are there. They did not do anything. They did not make anything. They just start to tell them to come today, come tomorrow, come today, come tomorrow, come today, come tomorrow. Till today that I am. I don't see any proof. I don't see go ahead. I don't see anything. Omadele self, they don't say you don't see motor self. You don't carry motor. You don't go sell her. These innocent children, make them release them for us. Because I don't know what is going on. Since 2014, 7 years now, getting to 8 years.
The owner of the case say my son is not there. You don't know my son. You don't know Junior. Then the rest, this is the principal actor. That is our landlord. And that boy, that I know after the story of the car, he took it to a mechanic. That is the mechanic. They asked the mechanic, are you the owner of the motor? He said yes. Instead of him to say no. So that man don't approve it. I don't really know the problem that is holding them there. I don't really know the problem. I'm tired.
We reached out to the police force to find out why arrests seem to have preceded investigation in this case. But the police were not our friend, literally, as we had no success in getting any of their officials to speak with us. However, we have been informed informally that once a case goes to court, the police can no longer do anything. This is despite what appears to be credible evidence that the boys were arrested in error. According to the past Comptroller General of the Nigerian Correctional Service (NCS), Jafaru Ahmed, 70% of inmates behind bars are awaiting trial. Many, like Prosper and Junior, have spent years in prison only due to the high-handedness of men of the force or the suspicion of having committed a crime and not necessarily an actual conviction.
First of all, the problem of arrests ordinarily is a big deal. People are arrested on very little evidence. People are arrested on the whims and caprices of the arresting authority. You know, some people may be just moving about, minding their own business, going about their everyday lives, and they're arrested for no reason, without evidence. So obviously, if there's not enough evidence to prosecute, we're going to have people spending a long time in prison or in jail without being tried.
Time after time, the professionalism of the Nigerian police is questioned. Just about 2 years ago, the nation erupted in a series of mass protests against police brutality in Nigeria, tagged EndSARS. To date, the prospect for accountability remains bleak. The Police Service Commission is statutorily responsible for the oversight of the police. It is in charge of ensuring the optimal efficiency of the Nigeria Police Force. I caught up with one of the commissioners of the establishment to find out about the commission's seeming ineptitude.
So being basically oversight body, part of what again is supposed to do, even beside oversighting, is development and implementation of policies for effective policing in Nigeria, which is huge. So the issues of hiring, firing, discipline are rudiments that are added to it. But in truth, is both an oversight body, is to develop policies and implement those policies for effective policing in Nigeria. Now, when we look at the issues I've raised that undermines the capacity, the delivery of services by the Nigerian police, they are not very different from that of the Police Service Commission. As I speak to you now, the Police Service Commission is effectively here in Abuja. Now, for an oversight body that is supposed to oversight the entire police officers in the country, from the northwest to northeast, down to south and all of that, and you have an office here in Abuja, there's something fundamentally wrong with that. Each people will tell you, oh, technology can solve this and all of that. Technology does not extend to our rural areas. We have most of the abuses occurs. You need a Police Service Commission that is in almost every state that the National Human Rights Commission and other agencies of government. You need a Police Service Commission that is equipped in terms of also forensics to investigate. You need a Police Service Commission that is, that is technologically powered.
One of the reasons for the long delay in the prosecution of this case has been the inability of the Nigeria Correctional Service to present Hakeem Olorebi in court. So we headed to the NCS to find out how difficult it must be to bring an inmate to court.
Thank you for bringing some particular specific case to my attention. I want to plead that give me time to actually verify this particular case and know what are the peculiar circumstances. So on this particular one, I cannot comment on it. But on a general note, without prejudice to the particular case you mentioned, inmates are produced as and when due. The only time when an inmate will not be produced is when we have security concerns. Security is key. The custodial centers are security institutions. Once if there's a security issue where maybe we speculate, maybe there's intelligence report that speculate maybe an attack or a perceived attack, or maybe likelihood of intelligence report say the inmate wants to escape, or those, the inmate will be prevented from going, and the court will be duly informed that based on security reasons this won't be there. Apart from that, we also have maybe non-production of reproduction warrant for those particular courts. A case in point, I don't want to make reference to that case, but if an inmate A is in a custodial center A and there's no reproduction warrant, or the reproduction warrant is addressed to custodial center C, now is wrongly addressed. There's no place. Wow, that usually arises from the court. Maybe they don't know where the particular inmate is. But I know that we are in the Nigerian Correctional Service. We already, through the good leadership of the Controller General, we've deployed the Correctional Information Management System in our custodial center. And I know they too, with the Ministry of Justice and the Judiciary, they have the Lagos State Criminal Information System, which also the custodial center is also a part and parcel of a stakeholder. So, as I said, work is in progress, and ICT is being deployed. So those are some of the issues. So once a custodial center is not duly informed through the formal reproduction one, that an inmate has his next adjourned date on so day, we are not informed. So when you are not informed, you don't know. Or if the court does not sit, you have all those instances too. But regarding the specific one you mentioned, give me some time, I'll focus and investigate it.
After a series of processes, the Nigeria Correctional Service now bring Hakeem to court, and the case is still ongoing.
It's over the last few years, the major problem we've had regarding this matter that has caused the delay we've been having is one of the defendants who has been convicted in another matter, and who the prosecution has been having difficulty presenting him in court. So today he was brought to court, and it seems that a lot of things that would assist in bringing him to court. He wrote an application to the, I think, Deputy Comptroller General, Prisons, etc., have been done, so that he would now be brought to court every time we have proceedings. However, the prosecution did not have a witness, and in order to do justice to the complainants, because while we are seeking for the release of the defendants, there is a complainant involved who the court must manifestly have done justice for. That's the nominal complainant, the person who claims to have been robbed. So the court stated that in order to do justice, they will be given one last chance, and a witness someone to be sent in respect of the witness. And I believe that by the next date, the witness should be presented, and otherwise we would probably just be asking, in light of the fact that the matter has suffered so much delay, that the prosecution's case be closed. But that's our position. We would have to wait to see what the court's decision would be in that response.
It has been 8 years behind bars for these men without conviction or closure. Their poor mothers are bone weary.
But now don't go court now more than 10 times. Because they took them away from here. After Amadele measured that those children are not among, measured 3 children that they are not among. Even in the court, even they put speaker. Everybody was hearing it. They put tape where people are hearing it. So from there, they took them to Abuja High Court. I say, did the Abuja? Yes. From there, I go to Abuja almost 4 or 5 times before they come back to Ikeja High Court again. Now we still there soon. Ikeja High Court we still there soon.
God will help me. I know even if people dey put on for lapo define lawyer wey go bail am. I don't tire. I don't spend all my money now. All people who dey sell market together, all of them don't build their own house. I don't spend my money for kirikiri.
Their father late now is over 10 years now, 11 years. 11 years in short. Where their father late. Now me still they take care of them till now.
We have been going there together with our group of people, their junior, mama and the rest. Mama later died, which is painful. And as too, I lost my daughter for that moment. My precious daughter that have been following me to that place all along. So since that time, I have not been going there. The thing is still painful. I spend a lot of money. Now this money is no 1 million. So I don't know what to do, no husband, no nothing. I am alone. So as I am now, I cannot go there again. I'm tired.
I don't know what in Nigeria want me to do. You know what the government want me to do. That boy is innocent. You don't know anything. No. You see the boy don't see me finish. No know anything. No know anything. Junior Ajokuji. Those Chukwudosi Ajokuji don't know anything. Prosper don't know anything. What are they calling the other boy? Peter rent house there. He rent house there. Prosper, mama rent house there. Keeping him long like this. I don't tire. I don't sick tire. Now help me. See my house, see the house where they stay before. When I pass some again, now my kid say, he too far for him from where they go, he better go work. The computer when they use and the laptop when they use work, now I say make him go charge for a better to there because now the same area where they grow from. I don't know this kind of problem will can happen. And the time when they do small bricklayer work, when they take support me and they find money for them. When they say na laptop you want buy, I take find money for them, when you take back. No get problem. It's very simple. That boy no get wahala at all.
As it stands, it is left to their legal representation to establish the innocence of her clients.
So now Kim gone in the face for case. The lawyer But the children when don't come out their hand, their leg inside, the 3 children, and they free them for us now, beg. When they free them. Abbas got some way to say, Mama don't suffer, Mama leg bend. Old woman, he suffer. At last, that petition carry the woman died for away. Eh? That one a mechanic, they work. All of them. Now that Olori Ebi carry Akoba. Hakim carry Akoba Adaba put for those children. And Allah Majari you.
One is left to wonder, if these men are proven innocent, who pays for these wasted years? And how many Nigerians are behind bars for no cause?
Although social media as a channel of communication is inherently harmless, it becomes harmful and damaging when used without discretion and thoughtfulness. Bad social media users spread rumors and fake news without verification, but good social media users stop, reflect, and verify information before sharing it. Be a good social media user. Stop the spread of fake news. Verify the authenticity of your source and use social media responsibly for a better Nigeria. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, in collaboration with the National Orientation Agency.
Voting is the most precious right of every citizen, and we have a moral obligation to ensure the integrity of the voting process.
The voter is at the center of everything involving election and electoral process. The voter is the final person that decides who wins. The role of commission is to organize election, but elections generally depends on the decision of the voter on election day to cast his ballot to the person or party of his choice.
It is a law in the democratic system of government in Nigeria to elect representatives after every 4 years. So there is a need for voters to exercise some rights.
You can only vote on presentation of your permanent voter card at the designated registration area or the registration unit where you registered. Citizens should understand that the value of permanent voter card is to enable them vote on election day. There are officials allowed to be in the polling unit, and all of them are accredited by commission. Party agents are quite accredited officials to be part of the voting process, but they don't have the right to interfere with the process. They can only be there to represent interests of their parties and observe how the elections are taking place.
Do you know that many still ask themselves, why should I vote? They think that their vote does not make a difference. What you should know is that voting is a civic duty, and if you desire change, you should vote and make it happen. It's your right. It's your vote.
If a pressman is accredited to cover elections, he will have the permission of commission to visit polls and move around on election day. If a party agent is accredited by commission to cover election, he will be allowed on election day to be part of the voting process from beginning up to the time it closes. Likewise, the international and domestic observer groups. But if you are not accredited, no. You are actually on your own and is not allowed by law. The commission, INEC, and every stakeholder in the electoral process have been loud and clear condemning all actions pertaining to vote buying or any effort by any candidate or party to buy votes. So let there be free franchise of persons to select or elect freely the persons they wish to vote. My advice to Nigerians is on election day, the commitment by INEC, vote will count. Please be part of the process and ensure you abide by all provisions of the law and give INEC officials the cooperation and support they require to conduct credible, free, fair and acceptable polls.
These are some of the rights of a voter. Receive up to 2 replacement ballots if he or she makes a mistake prior to the ballot being cast. A voter has a right to ask for and receive assistance while voting. A voter has a right to vote on a voting system that is in perfect working condition. A voter has a right to vote free from coercion or intimidation by election officers or any other person. Do you know your responsibilities as a voter? Now is the time to familiarize yourself with that. Familiarize yourself with the candidates and the issues. Maintain a current address with the office of the supervisor of the elections. Know the location of the polling units and the hours of operation. Bring proper and accurate identification to the polling station. Familiarize yourself with the operation of the voting equipment in your area. Report any problems or violations of election laws to the supervisor of the elections. Ask questions where and if needed. Make sure that his or her completed ballot is correct before leaving the polling station.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can watch NTA International live on your TV, computer, iPad, tablet and phone. Log on to visiontv.co.uk and click on Entertainment, then NTA. You can also download the iOS or Android app on your mobile devices to watch NTA International on the go, anywhere in the world. NTA International, your window to the world.
Issues in the sports sector remain one of the most debated among Nigerians due to the passion, followership, government involvement, impact on Nigeria's external image and our national life in the sports parliament. The NTA offers Nigerians deep views on issues with experts.
Nigeria opens trade hub in Kenya. Asia markets mostly higher as investors monitor Pelosi's visit to Taiwan. Oil prices dip ahead of OPEC Plus meeting. This is Business Express on the network service of the NTA, and we are reaching you from Abuja, the nation's capital. I am Benny Adams, your guide. It's time to keep you updated with happenings in the world of business. I'll start by telling you that as part of its drive to expand non-oil export to East African countries, the Nigerian Export Promotion Council has established a Nigeria Export Trade House in Nairobi, Kenya. Comfort Amodu brings us details of the unveiling from Kenya.
Talking business, sharing ideas, and advance ways to strengthen trade between Nigeria and Kenya and the regional economic bloc. These business tycoons and diplomats are excited about the renewed partnership and prospects of elevated bilateral relations between Nigeria and Kenya, especially with the presence of the Nigerian Export Trade House now domiciled in Nairobi, Kenya, established by the Nigerian Export Promotion Council.
You know, in West Africa, we all know that you have the best shea butter. The commodity, in terms of commodities, why aren't we actually getting shea butter here in East Africa? We're actually getting from Uganda or South Sudan. Those are the things which we feel we can actually benefit from this, endeavor we've actually just established with the Export Trade House.
We're making plans with this Export Trade House that we just commissioned. We are making plans to see how we can ship that product down to Kenya.
The basic products of textiles, pharmaceuticals, of course you've got a great oil and gas sector, so we can look at those kind of things where you have been very strong and we are coming up as well.
For the business community in Kenya, this is the beginning of market integration between Kenya and Nigerians and a path to reducing the trade barrier in regional economic bloc in Africa. From Nairobi, Kenya, I'm Comfort Amodu.
Thank you, Comfort. And moving on, our prices dipped on Wednesday ahead of a meeting of OPEC Plus producers, at which producers are expected to keep output steady with spare capacity limited, and against the backdrop of fears that a slowdown in global growth will hit fuel demand. CNBC reports that Brent crude futures were down 0.8% at $99.73 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate crude futures fell 0.8% to $93.69 a barrel. Joining me to talk more on development in the oil and gas space is an oil and gas expert, Odiano Sen Masade. Odiano Sen, you're welcome to Business Express, and I want to say happy birthday to you. Here today is your born day.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, well, before we come to the celebrations, let's go straight to the meat of the day. The meeting of OPEC and its allies is actually today. Already Brent crude is sold at $99.73 a barrel. What should be expected? What should we expect Nigeria, Africa, and the entire world at this particular point in time?
Well, unfortunately, to be honest, we are at the mercy of the big wigs. So Saudi Arabia, who has the bigger veto, would certainly call the shots. Unfortunately, and the good thing is the cartel is supposed to protect all of its people, right? And that's the situation. It will protect its people, but there's a present political situation, international political situation that has to be dealt with and squarely. This would show that the dynamics of this meeting is both dependent on it, and the outcome is also dependent on it. So we're going to see, the market has already responded from yesterday. We saw there was a big confidence because we know that the presidents in the United States and all other world leaders who are allied against Russian invasion have been speaking to members of the cartel, principally Saudi Arabia, to resolve this, pump more fossil fuel, so that it sort of provides a backdrop, a stopper for the situation with Russia.
Well, like you've said, the world needs energy. The conversation is about energy sufficiency, safe and clean energy. Then we have the political angle to it. Yes, Russia-Ukraine invasion is there. Now we have a new Secretary General in place. How would you see him respond to all of this? More so, a new thread came up yesterday talking about Pelosi's visit to Taiwan. The market is also responding to that. How do you see all of these socio-economic and political factors playing out to decisions that should be reached?
The reality is, if we do our business smart, I'll speak from the perspective of the Nigerian, and especially one who's in the gas space. If, from the perspective of the Nigerian, this is a win-win for us. But how we leverage on it is the key thing. We remember from the UN climate session last time out, we had this situation where the vice president was speaking, and he said, sorry, this is very unfortunate. Sorry, hold on. I just give me a tiny second. I have to get that.
Oh, okay. Okay. Now we've lost it. That it's a live program. Well, before. Okay, you're around. We don't want such break again. Okay, as we were saying, I'm listening.
With the domestic emergency, but I'm back now.
Okay, go ahead.
As I was saying, it plays this entire thing plays in nicely with us. And so I was saying about the vice president at the UN climate meeting last year, COP26 in Glasgow. In the sidelines, we had our vice president talking about this when he said that Nigeria, this transition for the energy space has to be multidimensional when you think about it from the African perspective. So you can't just say we're going to jump from one fossil fuel to the other in the twinkle of an eye, especially the gap that Africa has suffered. You can imagine that we are at this point. This is the time we're coming into the gas space when the world seems to sort of want to move ahead. But it is a bit unfair. It's a twin devil in its own sense. The world genuinely needs to stay within 1.5 Celsius or pre-industrial levels, but that's not that's not feasible for us in a business sense in terms of Africa, who's been left behind. We do, and then we can see that every other fossil fuel transition had taken centuries, but this situation we're being forced in a few years to make the jump with the rest of the world. We have a lot of gas reserves we haven't even exploited, and the world wants to move on. And the truth of the matter, if I use that word, that phrase, is that it's a bit unfair because when you think about it, what these global emissions, the developed world still uses about 30% of their energy supply comes from coal, and if it does
particularly China.
Exactly. Now, if it does come from coal, they should be the one making these cuts. If they did make these cuts, then there's a lot of leverage for the gas and the fossil fuels that are cleaner, of course, than the coal. So you can imagine how much contribution coal makes to these carbon emissions. So we need to, but it's like I said, it's a bit of a mix. One has to find a balance. The rest of the world needs to make cuts. I don't see China, I don't see India making cuts. These people, last year, India was talking about giving till 2070, even though the UN was asking for 2050. But just like Africa, China's, even though it has a super economy, it's also still, in a sense, developing. So it needs all of its resources so that it can channel it properly for its people. And the thing about the world is we're not, unfortunately, as united as we should be as a human race. And then governments operate in the interest of their own citizens. They're not the global. If the rest of the world carried us in its revolutions, industrial revolutions, as it were, there wouldn't be this challenge we're having now. But then there's also the energy crisis that we have.
Okay, Mr. Masade, still talking about the Nigerian experience. What do you make of the transition of the NNPC Limited to a company in terms of harnessing our potential in particularly oil and gas?
That's a bit of an interesting thing. I think the idea that the government wanted was for it to be fully profitable, reduce sort of that extra burden that it seemed to have before when it was directly under government control. This situation now allows the NNPC to operate like every other business. It can now be listed in the stock exchange, which means that it has to perform to the best of its abilities in terms of stakeholders. It's not now welfare based. You know, when you're considering several things like even a subsidy and all that, you would have to look at things differently. It's now run as a company, not at the whims and caprices of politicians. But the reality is, we're yet to see it into practice, because it could just be all in paperwork, but the reality might be different. So the implementation of it is what we would love to see. How much leeway the executives, the new executives in this institution, this private institution, is allowed to operate. If they are allowed to operate and they have the best hands, I'm sure that we'll all be happier for it. There's a clear fact of the matter that we have the NNPC has joint ventures with several, nearly everybody in the space. And that said, it should be a positive thing if it is adhered to religiously. But I don't know whether to be excited or not. I'm hopeful nonetheless.
Okay, then, while we wait for this transition to actually take effect for us to begin to see practical steps being taken, the European Union plans to increase gas imports from Nigeria to cut reliance on Russia. Do we have the infrastructure to sustain supply? If not, yes, the AKK gas pipeline is ongoing. A lot of other projects are actually ongoing to ensure this happens. But in the meantime, what do you think? What's your suggestion? What should be done immediately to cash in on this opportunity?
Unfortunately, there's no quick fix. We in the Nigerian Gas Association have been crying for the longest time. Infrastructure was one of the key things we've hammered over successive governments, and they failed to do it. Not one major project has been achieved. We should have gotten some level of sufficiency. In fact, the reality is, up until the PIA, there's not been particularly clear legislation for the gas space. So we're a bit hand-tied. But the thing is, if there's a will, there's a way, like they say. But in this case, it's the political will. The short term is, unfortunately, we're in an election period. So I don't even know that we have the people focused. All of this, the way politics is played in these parts, all the people who should be focusing on the technical details might be thinking about making sure that their party members win the next election. So the political will, it would be a challenge. The short term, we're looking at the gas pipeline, which should go from here to Algeria. But then there are already other existential issues, like as it were, we're challenged by security, and there's a dearth of investors. So even though the European Union is considering it, they will still be wondering how to invest, because your ease of doing business, the clarity, you already have the multinationals who are here divesting, and the only place they choose to operate, no surprise, is in the deep offshore, because in the shallow areas they're bedeviled by the security challenges, third party interferences, and all whatnot. So it would require there should be a clear, succinct plan from the government. We should work with stakeholders, and there should be a technical aspect of it. Corporate finance people have to determine the details, but there has to be political will, because all of these ingredients have to come together to put together how quick. What are the short-term gains? If a feasibility, we do a quick feasibility and decide that we want to have several new, apart from the NLNG projects, several others, all of the LNG projects that we've let go, we didn't allow to blossom, or we didn't invest Nigeria in the past, which we should have, because as it were, there's only NLNG that you would look to. So if you're thinking about that, then you'll be wanting to invest in those other NLNG projects, and then you would want to find the right, like I said, security structure for it. Because what happens is everyone's literally suffering. The investors are shy because everybody has to invest extra in security, which is already supposed to be provided. But then, that's not the case by the government. Anyway, it's supposed to be provided by the government, but it's not the situation. So it's not doom and gloom, but there has to be political will. The Vice President's office, which was originally tasked with these parts, especially the gas, have done some good work, but there has to be a clear support from the main man himself, because we have a very powerful president in the sense of the constitutional powers he has. And really have to have clarity of purpose, because the potential investors will be looking and considering if they should invest in this venture, why they should, when the other multinationals are already trying to lead. So we need to be quick thinking would solve all of this. We have to decide, tell them clear contracts. This is what you should do. And there's another angle, because security is a big challenge, and because it is political.
Yes, like you mentioned, security is a challenge. The infrastructure needs to be stepped up, and I see effort in that direction. But like you said, it's not just a one-way thing. It's a partnership, public-private sector partnership, to get those potentials well harnessed and opportunities cashed in. Thank you so very much, Mr. Masade, for sharing your thoughts with us at this particular point in time.
Thank you.
Well, moving on, the federal government has disbursed the sum of 66 billion naira to more than 1.2 million beneficiaries across the country under the MSME Survival Fund. Minister of State Industry, Trade and Investment, Mariam Katagum, disclosed this during a town hall meeting in Abuja. The report. Cash is responsible for these smiles, and the testimonies are evident to the fact that the government delivered on promises made.
We really appreciate the money we got to help our staff in the long run to cushion the effect of our inability to meet some certain payments of their salary.
But like Oliver Twist, they want more.
Our members are more than 50 million wages that
like a caring parent, more money, capacity building, and access to market is coming the way of macro, small, and medium enterprise business owners across the country.
To date, the fund has disbursed the sum of 66 billion and 20,000 directly to 1,258,183 beneficiaries, including those registered by the CAC. And I think the icing on the cake is all these 1.2 million beneficiaries, we can track them.
The town hall meeting highlighted the scheme's achievements in the payroll support scheme, artisan and transport scheme, formalization support scheme, general MSME grant scheme, and the guaranteed take-off scheme around the country. In Abuja, Benny. When the impact of COVID-19 was felt by the country, the small and medium-scale enterprises with more than 200 million Nigerians, to this end, the agency has signed a memorandum of understanding with its partners towards ensuring that more MSMEs are given access to training and empowerment programs through the academy.
Market, or you see that the product is not good enough. So some of these gaps we will also be filling. But we are going to put more emphasis than having classroom training. So it's even good when they learn through Sapita digitally. Then we now go to them, we visit them, we make sure that we grant them. I believe that in very little time we will be seeing the dividends of this kind of partnership.
Now let's take a trip to the commodities market. Trading on the Nigerian stock market depreciated further this Wednesday in the third straight day of losses this Wednesday. The NGX All Share Index depreciated 0.50 at 50,188.55 basis points, with market capitalization falling to 27.064 trillion naira. 829.5 million shares were traded on the floor of the exchange in 4,977 deals, valued at 4.105 billion naira. Intelligence Transnational Corporation and Guarantee Trust Company led activities in terms of volume. Let's now see global stocks update.
Hello and welcome to the Global Market Review. Now, Asian market mostly rose, but mainland China indices gave up early gains and turned negative Wednesday as geopolitical tensions between the US and China intensified over US House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan. The Shanghai Composite was 0.71% lower at 3,163.67, while the Hang Seng Index topped 0.40% at 19,767.09, and the Nikkei also added 0.53% across 27,741.90. European stocks were mixed on Wednesday, continuing the cautious regional trend this week. The mixed trade for European stocks came after markets pulled back slightly on Tuesday, tracking risks of sentiment globally as investors assess whether last month's rally has further to run. FTSE was 0.03% high, CAC 40 0.25%, and DAX also topped 0.26%. US stock futures traded higher as traders tried to regain their footing following back-to-back losses sessions. Futures tied to the Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 136 points or 0.42%. S&P 500 and Nasdaq Composite also continued on the positive territory as trade progresses. Now, it's a massive decline on the African markets as most stocks shed all previous gains, which dampened investor sentiment, pushing the markets down to a negative close. That's the Global Market Review. I am Boss Sede Abel.
Thank you, Bosede. Let's now see how the Naira is changing for other currencies at the central bank official rate. This is where we end this episode of the program. Don't forget you can access all previous episodes on YouTube. Do join us again on Thursday at 9:30 a.m. for another episode. I am Benny Adams saying have a good day.
"24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can watch NTA International live on your TV, computer, iPad, tablet and phone. Log on visiontv.co.uk and click on Entertainment, then NTAI. You can also download the iOS or Android app on your mobile devices to watch NTA International on the go, anywhere in the world. NTA International, your window to the world.
Issues in the sports sector remain one of the most debated among Nigerians due to the passion, followership, government involvement, impact on Nigeria's external image and our national life in the sports parliament. The NTA offers Nigerians deep views on issues with experts in the sports sector, offering in-depth analysis, hindsight, insight and foresight towards elevating Nigerian sports to the zenith on the floor of the sports parliament. Sports Parliament, a unique platform for sports discussions, showing live on the NTA. Keep a date with the parliamentarians. The eyes have it.
NTA, you can't beat the rich.
This is the network service of the NTA.
They say every day is for the thief, one day for the owner of the house. But ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Commission, has reversed the role. It is now every day for the owner of the house. If you're involved in bribery, over-invoicing, or any shady deal, the day of reckoning has come. ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Commission, is watching you. If you're reported for any corrupt practice, you'll be investigated, prosecuted, and punished. Corruption is harmful to our nation. Join the campaign against it by reporting any corrupt practice to ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Commission.
Let me join hands with ICPC, make them better. ICPC, they want to
break the chain of corruption now. Don't give, don't take. This message is brought to you by ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Commission.
The Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Act 2000 defines a public officer as a person employed or engaged in the public service of the Federation. This public officer is a holder of public trust and is expected to take decisions for the public good. Unfortunately, sometimes this trust is abused and public officers take wrong decisions to benefit themselves and not the public whom they are meant to serve. Such abuses are throughout the route of the law. ICPC has handled some cases of abuse of office by public officers who were prosecuted and sanctioned by the law courts. We bring you highlights of some of these convictions as secured by ICPC recently. Welcome to Corruption Must Go, ICPC's weekly television program. I am your host, Hawa Sani Garba. But first, Ruth Awodi is standing by with details of anti-corruption stories.
Welcome to this segment on anti-corruption stories. I am Ruth Awudi. ICPC has arraigned the Deputy Chief Registrar of the Federal High Court, Port Harcourt, Mrs. Nkem Apollonia Mba, for alleged involvement in fraudulent activities. Mrs. Mba was docked on a 3-count charge before Justice Latim Nyodi of the Federal High Court 12 Port Harcourt for offences bordering on abuse of office and corrupt demand of gratification by a public officer. One of the counts revealed that the Deputy Chief Registrar received a kickback of 500,000 naira through her bank account from the purchase of automotive gas oil, popularly known as diesel, and other products. She, however, argued that the money was her 2% entitlement according to Order 16 of the Admiralty Jurisdiction Procedure Rule 2011. The accused pleaded not guilty when the charge was read to her. Consequently, her counsel, S. Somiari, applied for bail, praying the court to grant her bail on liberal terms. The bail application was not opposed by the prosecuting counsel, Dr. Agada Akogo. The trial judge, in granting the prayers, admitted her to bail in the sum of 500,000 naira with a surety who must have landed property in Port Harcourt. Justice Nyodi further ruled that the accused must deposit her international passport with the court registrar. The case was then adjourned for commencement of trial. In a related development, ICPC has arraigned one Mr. Alanamu Zubir Olayemi, a web programmer 2 of the University of Ilorin, for alleged contract fraud and abuse of office before Honorable Justice Adenike Akinpelu of Kwara State High Court, sitting in Ilorin. The university staff was accused of holding an indirect private interest in a contract awarded to Global Wise ICT Solutions and Technology Limited, of which he was the sole signatory to the company's bank account. The commission, therefore, in a 2-count charge preferred against the accused person, informed the court of how the public servant used his position to confer corrupt advantage upon himself as the beneficial owner of Global Wise ICT Solutions and Technology Limited, in which account the contract sum of 9.9 million naira was paid. The said contract sum was meant for the provision of basic and extended portal services. When the charges were read to the defendant, he entered a not guilty plea. His counsel, Salman Jawando, then prayed the court to grant his client bail, which was not opposed by the prosecution counsel. The trial judge therefore admitted the accused person to bail in the sum of 2 million naira and 2 sureties in like sum. The surety must be a blood relation and a responsible resident within the jurisdiction of the court, with evidence of ownership of landed property and affidavit of means. The case has been adjourned for commencement of hearing. In another development, ICPC has hosted the 8th Stakeholders Focal Point meeting on the sustainability of the rule of law and anti-corruption ROLAC programs. The ROLAC programs, funded by the European Union, was launched in 2017 to enhance good governance in Nigeria by strengthening the rule of law, curbing corruption, and reducing impunity. Speaking at the meeting, ROLAC component manager Mr. Emmanuel Uche noted that the meeting was called for participants to exchange ideas on what everyone was doing in the entire program's objectives. In his welcome remarks, the Secretary to the Commission, Professor Musa Usman Abubakar, commended the stakeholders for their tireless efforts to meeting the set objectives of the program, just as he wished them a fruitful deliberation. The meeting was attended by representatives from Federal Ministry of Justice, Nigeria Correctional Service, Legal Aid Council, Technical Unit on Governance and Anti-Corruption Reforms, TUGA, Bureau of Public Procurement, BPP, and a host of other stakeholders. That will be all on this segment. Corruption Must Go continues with Hawa. Stay with us.
Fellow Nigerians, do you know that constituency projects are actually your projects? Do you know that constituency projects are funded by the federal government? Do you know that you can track release of constituency project funds for projects located in your constituency and follow up to know how they have been executed? Constituency projects happen because government does not want to leave any community out in development efforts. You have a responsibility to know what constituency project has been planned for your community, how much has been allocated for it, and whether value for money has been delivered. Take ownership of constituency projects located in your community. Protect them because they belong to you. Government knows about your needs and is planning for you. Government needs your help to ensure quality delivery. Know that constituency projects are actually your projects. Protect your constituency project. My constituency, my project.
For information on funds allocated to projects in your constituency, call 0800 2255 4272.
This message is from the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission and the National Orientation Agency.
Welcome back. ICPC recently secured a 7-year jail term for a public officer in the office of the head of civil service of the Federation, Mr. Amdi Monde Gideon, for his involvement in employment scam. In the case filed against him by ICPC at the Federal Capital Territory, High Court 17 in Gwagwalada, the convict was accused of demanding the sum of 250,000 naira and receiving the sum of 162,500 naira from an applicant with the promise to procure a job for him at the Federal Civil Service Commission. ICPC Counsel Michael Adeshola gives us details.
Convict in this case is Gideon Monday. He demanded and obtained money from the offense is punishable under the ICPC Act, especially the offender is a government official and he demanded money to recruit an applicant into the government service. Thankfully, the government service is not for sale. It's free and on merit. And it's only those who merited it can be recruited into the government service. Employment in Nigeria is regulated by laws and rules. And all these laws and rules are designed to get the best into the government service, not to be by patronage or by favor or by other considerations. So the government agency and government service supposed to be for merit. Those that qualify, those that merit it, those that have been trained in character and in competency to occupy government office. So anybody that is trying to recruit into government service must make sure that they comply with the rules and regulations. You see that when government wants to recruit, they bring out an advertisement for everybody's mate, for everybody that qualify for that office to apply. So from there, government is going to shortlist the people that merit the criteria set for the recruitment. So for anybody trying to recruit into the government service, it behooves on them to comply with the rules and regulations. Number one, to advertise for all interested candidates to apply, and then for them to now sort out from the application receipt those that qualify for the office they're trying to recruit for. And it should not be by bargain or by favoritism or by nepotism. It should be on merit. And that's why government offices and government positions going to attract qualified and competent people. That is the things that is necessary for anybody recruiting into government agency to comply with.
In a related development, ICPC has secured conviction of a former special assistant to the chairman of Giwa local government area of Kaduna State, Hassan Dauda, to 12 years imprisonment for his involvement in the 6.3 million Hajj funds fraud. Dauda, who was charged before the Kaduna State High Court by the ICPC, was accused of defrauding 8 persons of 6.3 million naira. ICPC Shehu Yahya explains the details of the offense as committed by the convict.
Yeah, it's a case that was investigated by our Kaduna State Office to involve a former special assistant to the chairman of Giwa local government in Kaduna State, who defrauded some intending pilgrims to Saudi Arabia. While he gave them the impression that he would be able to secure seats for them to travel to Saudi Arabia for the Hajj pilgrimage some years back. That wasn't the case. He tipped them of their hard-earned money and left them stranded at the airport. So when the report came to our officers, we started the investigation of the case, and he was arrested promptly as he was returning back to the country. The investigation was concluded, he was charged to court, and recently the case has just been concluded, and he was convicted for the crime. He was convicted for advance fee, fraud, and also using his office to confer a corrupt advantage on himself. Once it is an offense, what I didn't even add was the fact he was also charged for criminal breach of trust. The people he defrauded are ordinary peasants who had confidence that he was going to help them fulfill their religious obligation. And he, being an official of government, they had a lot of respect, and they expected that he would treat them fairly as he should, but that was not the case. He abused his office. It's very bad. As a public officer, any public officer is expected to exhibit the highest level of integrity, and the people who come before him to seek for public services are supposed to be treated in fairness. You understand? And this local peasant thought they could get that from him, but that was not the case. He abused his office, he abused the trust they reposed on him, and he used that position as a government official to enrich himself to the detriment of this local peasants. Some of them been saving the money that was taken by this man for years. For them, it's a life-long ambition, and only for them to be treated the way he treated them was appalling. I mean, he secured uniforms, bags, and left them stranded at the airport when he knew he could not provide the services. He just wanted to enrich himself at their expense. That was really appalling. Yeah, the penal code law of criminal state, criminal breach of trust, and the advanced fee fraud, and also the Corrupt Practices under Related Offences Act. He used his office to confer a corrupt advantage upon himself, and he was duly convicted for that and sentenced variously to various jail terms. Firstly, I think all those who try to access public service should go through the proper channels, trying to cut corners, because sometimes it's not only people that get duped. Otherwise, well-educated people get themselves into the same situation when they try to cut corners, when they try to avoid going through the normal procedures to access public services. So that's if you go through the normal processes, you endure, you persevere, the chances that you are going to be duped in the same way is almost non-existent. And secondly, I think those who are given the honor and opportunity to serve the public should do so with the highest, with integrity. I mean, it's not all will have that opportunity to serve, and to abuse it in such a manner is really a pity. Well, they should know the fact that the administration of criminal justice sometimes may be slow, but it surely catches up with all those who break the law. The case has been in court for a while, but eventually the law caught up with the offender and it has been dealt with accordingly.
Corruption can mess up every good thing a nation has. A nation is blessed with every good thing all around. If you and I care, we gonna get there. Just ask me how. It's not from you and I. You say no. When they give you bribe or ask you for right, you say no. If you're there for office and tempted to steal, you say no. We can only feel corruption and greed. Make we say no. Make we say no. Make we say no. Make we say no. When they give you bribe or ask you for bribe, make you say no. If you there for office and tempted to steal, make you say no. We can only kill corruption and greed. When we say no. When we say no. When we say no. When we say no.
You are watching Corruption Must Go. In the same vein, a Kano State High Court, presided over by Honorable Justice DJ Aboki, has convicted and sentenced two civil servants, Helen Ode and Zainab Musa, to 3.5 years and 6 months imprisonment, respectively, for conspiracy, impersonation, and making false statements to a public officer. The convicts were charged by the ICPC on a 3-count charge bordering on forgery and ancillary offences. sitting in Ilorin, Kwara State, presided over by Justice M. Abdul-Ghaffar, has sentenced Al-Hassan Yahya Bagudu, a former chairman of Kayama local government area of the state, to 1 year imprisonment for making false statement to an investigator. Bagudu was charged to court by ICPC on a 2-count charge bordering on making false statement to an investigator of the commission. All the above convicts took advantage of their office and the public trust placed on them to commit fraud, thinking they would escape the long arms of the law. Public officers at federal and state local government levels are expected to draw lessons from these convictions by being upright in their conduct and doing the right thing even when no one is watching. Remember that public office is public trust. Do not betray it. You can watch us via our YouTube channel, reach us through our social media platforms, and contact us through the following addresses as shown on the screen. See you again next week. Bye for now.
Away. You can watch NTA International live on your TV, computer, iPad, tablet and phone. Log on to visiontv.co.uk and click on Entertainment, then NTA. You can also download the iOS or Android app on your mobile devices to watch NTA International on the go, anywhere in the world. NTA International, your window to the world.
Our pastors, our imams, in every church, in every mosque, please realize that in the course of praying for peaceful and transparent elections, we all have duties beyond prayers. If we want a stable society before, during and after the elections, what should you be saying to those that worship with you? All Sundays and all Fridays, you are saddled with the responsibility of bringing up good generations. It is therefore your duty to both man and God to ensure peace all the time, no matter about elections alone. People talk to people and people listen. Talk to your followers. Make them listen to ensure peaceful 2023 elections. This message from the National Orientation Agency.
I'm here now. Are you sure this will work? I can't be sitting. Just keep moving on so I can listen.
Today we're going to be discussing sleep disorder. What is the medical term for sleepwalking?
Sonambulism.
But get free Intel to Intel calls and experience HD quality conversations every time. Intel. Live more.
National Broadcasting Commission has observed with concern the misuse of the airwaves to propagate incendiary materials by different groups in some broadcasting stations in recent times. While appreciating the need for educating, informing and enlightening the public on issues bordering on our national development, the Commission wishes to seize this opportunity to advise broadcasters to be circumspect in the handling of news and current affairs programs by exhibiting the necessary professionalism. Consequently, the Commission implores broadcasters to advise guests and/or analysts on their platforms not to polarize the citizenry with divisive rhetorics in driving home their points. Ensure that every news and current affairs program conforms with the provision of the Nigeria Broadcasting Code. Take their social responsibility requirements seriously. Therefore, the Commission reminds broadcasters to be guided by the provisions of the Nigeria Broadcasting Code, especially the underlisted sections 5.3.3b. The broadcasters shall, in using political materials for news and current affairs programs, avoid hate speech, inflammatory, derogatory, and divisive remarks or allusions. 5.4.1f. The broadcaster shall not transmit divisive material that may threaten or compromise the indivisibility and indissolubility of Nigeria as a sovereign state. 5.5.6. The broadcaster shall have a delay mechanism to guard against possible undesirable content. Please note that every broadcast station is responsible for the content it transmits and shall be held liable for any content in violation of the Nigeria Broadcasting Code. Be advised. Signed, Malam Balarebe Shehu Ilela, Director General, Announcer.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can watch NTA International live on your TV, computer, iPad, tablet and phone. Log on visiontv.co.uk and click on Entertainment, then NTA. You can also download the iOS or Android app on your mobile devices to watch NTA International on the go, anywhere in the world. NTA International, your window to the world.
Is inherent.
Hello and welcome to Nationwide. I am Lydia Otijochi. We thank you for joining us. This broadcast is being streamed live on our website nta.ng/live and other social media handles displayed on your screen. 3 newly appointed permanent secretaries have been sworn in to fill existing vacancies in the Federal Civil Service. President Muhammadu Buhari performed the swearing ceremony before the weekly meeting of the Federal Executive Council. Those sworn in are Lydia Shehu Jafiu from Adamawa State, Udo Okonkwo Nekanem, Akwa Ibom State, and Farouk Yusuf Yabo from Sokoto State. The new permanent secretaries emerged from a rigorous eligibility exercise conducted for directors in the Federal Civil Service. It comprises written examination, ICT competency test, as well as an interactive session with a broad spectrum of stakeholders in the public and private sectors. The newly appointees represent states where vacancies existed. President of the Senate Ahmed Lawan has observed that the current security situation in the country has assumed frightening dimensions and calls for a review of strategy. Senator Lawan was speaking at a meeting involving principal officers of the Senate and heads of security agencies, where the senators urged the security agencies to ensure drastic and remarkable changes in the security situation in the country.
Is to look into where we are today and probably this present position where we are is most frightening. So we really have to review and see what more we have to do and how differently we have to do. Our population is largely peasant. Most of our people are in the rural areas and they lead their lives by going to farms. We all know this. In many parts of the country today, that is a Herculean task.
Issues of national security must be seen from a collective perspective. To assure you that quite a lot has happened, quite a lot has been done, quite a lot is being done to ensure that we improve on the security setting across the country. The commitment is there, is very profound.
The meeting, which later dissolved into a closed door, also featured measures towards addressing oil theft and other security challenges. All parties involved in the Senegalese parliamentary electoral process are to respect the regulatory channels for announcing results and refrain from making announcements that could affect the peaceful climate observed. This is one of the recommendations in the ECOWAS preliminary report on the country's National Assembly elections. Haman Jabani reports that ECOWAS observation mission through its executive team will stay in Senegal until the results are announced.
The electoral campaign took place for about 21 days and was believed to have been marked by controversies over the sponsorship system, political and legal battles relating to the validity of certain lists. This led to demonstration and arrest of members of the main opposition coalition. However, the 8-candidate list that got CNS approval to participate in the legislative election saw to a peaceful and transparent nature of ballot and good mastery of voting procedures. The mission, after all analysis and data collection, came up with 9 findings and made a number of recommendations.
Turnout of an election that can make a democracy stronger. Therefore, we invite everybody in our region to participate actively to whatever election is carried out in our member states.
Also, we have to congratulate some innovations of Senegal. For example, the representation of the diaspora in the parliament. I never seen it before anywhere.
Preliminary result from the poll station. We all know that the result will be tight between opposition and the current majority. But we think that we should wait, everybody should wait. And if there is a need to contest, it's just to follow the rules.
The mission stressed the need for sensitization of electorate on democratic culture, promote peace of stability and consolidation of democratic culture. From Dakar, Senegal, Hamad Jabani, NTA News.
And back home, guests on Good Morning Nigeria are of the opinion that tackling the challenges with remittances, diversifying the economy, and addressing speculative attacks on the Naira, as well as encouraging direct investment, will help in stabilizing the Naira. Thomas Ogbetere reports.
The recent free flow of Naira and its impact on the Nigerian economy is no doubt a thing of concern to government and other stakeholders. This is one of the reasons why guests on Good Morning Nigeria suggested the best ways to stabilize the Naira. They seek a legal framework that will encourage the ease of doing business and direct investment in Nigeria to increase value, productivity and exports.
What is happening in whatever market we're seeing now in terms of effects has to do with the supply side of it, the scarcity of that product.
This is just what is happening also in terms of the foreign currency, the dollar. The confidence of Nigeria, the trust, as my colleague have raised, due to lack of value, due to lack of productivity, have really gone down, is lost almost completely.
At the point in time, we were celebrating our Naira in the streets of England. Me and you were in the university when we were buying tickets for 7,000, Naira to fly to the UK, and everybody could be able to spend Naira in the streets of UK. It wasn't magic. It wasn't government policy. It was that we were productive and that our Naira was being traded in markets.
The fact that we are not producing enough, not in terms of volume, or even in terms of sophistication and complexity, in terms of how much innovation goes into the production of what we do. So that's how the Naira got to this level.
Guest also noted that Nigeria must avoid policy somersaults, ensure proper regulation of all sectors of the nation's economy, and work on the nation's demand and supply value chain to stabilize the Naira. In Abuja, Thomas Ugbetere, NTA News.
Report by the United Nations on Trade and Development has estimated that Africa loses more than $88 billion annually to illicit financial flows, and 30% of these losses is attributed to Nigeria. To bring an end to it, the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission with the Society of Women Accountants of Nigeria gathered stakeholders to brainstorm on how to fight corruption through enhanced accounting system in the country.
However, it is important to note that nobody can steal money without accountants knowing about it. So for us to succeed in this whole effort to revitalize the economy, diminish the corruption components of it, stop illicit financial flows, it is inevitable that we must work with accountants.
Setting standard, abiding by the principles and ethics of our profession is the first step towards fighting corruption.
It's about building resilience, institutional resilience.
Things are difficult. What is the main contributory factor to this? Because of the money that's lifting, people that are stealing, sending out to different locations.
In view of the federal government ban on mining activities in parts of the country to address security challenges, the Miners Association of Nigeria has come up with measures to ensure the industry never poses a threat to national security. Acting National President of the Association, Musa Mohammed, in a press briefing in Abuja, however, notes that the ban comes with huge loss to the country at a time the federal government has demonstrated sincere commitment to revamp the industry.
Under an executive order, foreign nationals be prevented from entering mining sites during the period of national security emergency. Government through the funding agency will engage Miner Association of Nigeria men to review the conditions to assess the various intervention facilities meant for the sector by the intended small-scale operators, or unlock them to facilitate the equipment leasing gap in the identified mining cluster as a backward integration strategy for the established mining cluster by process.
Also appeal to the Ministry of Mines and Steel Development to activate its Security Joint Task Force in order not to allow terrorists use mining sites as hideouts, as well as empower miners with loans already provided by the federal government. You're watching Nationwide, and we're going to Lagos now, and Michael is standing by with more reports. Hello, Michael.
Hello, Lydia. Like most countries across the globe, Nigeria is faced with economic challenges ranging from inflation to depreciation of the naira. Although government is intervening, but financial analysts say fine-tuning the interventions to drive crucial economic indicators is key to changing the tide. On the economic index of inflation across the globe, Nigeria is down the ladder with inflation rates presently put at 17.71% on a year-on-year basis in May. It is an encouraging statistic, but while the country's huge potential is constrained, is due to factors ranging from limited capacity to exports.
The government can also intervene by reviewing some of the import tariff on some of the critical items around energy, around food processing, around equipment.
In the face of this, Nigeria is re-strategizing to meet up with its production quota of 1.8 million barrels per day, while ironically projecting to climb up to 6 trillion naira for subsidy payable on fuel this year.
We should be able to allow for improved production. Should we have improved production of crude today, we are going to achieve a couple of things. One, we're going to have a stabilization of our foreign exchange reserve. We're going to have a moderation in the depreciation of the local currency.
From anchor borrower, N-Power, and series of interventions to stimulate micro and small medium-scale enterprises, government has responded positively, but experts say weak physical space in terms of limited resources has slowed down growth.
There must be policy alignment for us to be able to see, positive growth.
As a matter of urgency, experts say initiatives that can boost the strength of the naira can change the narrative.
We have an inflow of $29-30 billion diaspora remittances annually. What we are counting officially is about, $6 billion now? So why can't we harness that?
Another area of tremendous growth is in infrastructure, with the success story in the rail subsector a reference point. But experts say more efforts spearheaded by public-private partnership will add value to increasing capacity to exports.
A book that chronicles the struggles and successes of a corporate guru who rose from managing the storeroom in an oil company in Warri to becoming a global executive suit at The Hague in less than 2 decades has been unveiled to the public. Amaka O reports that the book, titled From Storeroom to Boardroom, is an autobiography by former Chief Executive Officer, Nigerian Liquefied Natural Gas, Babs Omotowa.
I learned from my father that it was better to focus on a few things and do them exceptionally well than to do many things and perform below par.
That was veteran broadcaster and former staff of the Nigerian Television Authority, CNN Orwell Brown, reading aloud lines from the 254-page book titled From Storeroom to Boardroom, written by former Chief Executive Officer of the NLNG, Babs Omotowa. The book highlights the author's wealth of experience, which he uses to reinforce certain leadership principles. He believes there is need to harness untapped potentials in Nigeria's gas sector.
The potential that the country has, I would say we are punching way below our weight, because we should by now be producing at least 4 million barrels a day of oil, and the one at the last check we were doing less than 1 million barrels of oil.
The 10-chapter book is a fascinating read and an autobiography that captures courage, honesty and integrity, as well as relationships.
About personal and professional integrity and his leadership by example, I believe in part, is what propelled him to the very peak of his career.
He made us realize that Nigeria is an important country and we should work not for ourselves but for the betterment of the country.
As anything that documents examples that are good, is something that is worthy of being commended.
There was a panel of discussants made up of close associates to the author from the oil and gas industry who shared experiences in tackling challenges and transforming the sector. The author, Babs Omotowa, is said to be one of the few Africans appointed to the position of Global Vice President for shell companies across the world. In Lagos, Amaka O, NTA News.
Do not forget to follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on your screen for updates. Time for some messages, and when we return, Nationwide continues from our Enugu Network Center. Please stay.
The Nigeria Police Force, in conjunction with Solar Security and Consult Company, is organizing a series of election security management workshops in the 6th geopolitical range. 2023 general elections, enhancing national security capacity for a secure and credible electoral process in Nigeria. Date, August 4th to 8th, 2022. Venue, International Conference Center, Abuja. Time, 3-1. The opening ceremony is at 10 a.m. on day 1, August 1st, 2022. Day 2, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Speakers will handle various topics, among which are police preparedness for 2022 general elections, election threats in Nigeria, interagency collaboration, managing officers' mental health, legal, media, and electoral offenses and punishment issues. Special guest Major General Babagana Munguno, National Security Advisor, Chief Host Ali Baba, Inspector General of Police. Expected participants include stakeholders in election security management in Nigeria. For inquiries, please call any of these numbers: 0812-001-0000 or 0803-717-4527. Announcer, Solar Security and Comfort Company Limited.
Ooh, this food is delicious. Can I have my bitters now?
Okay.
What is this? Is this my bottle of bitters?
Yes. Any problem?
Any problem? No. I'm not going to take them. I want my yo-yo bitter.
Darling, but bitters is bitter.
Look. Let me tell you. When your bitter is bitter, it is unique in formulation and effective in action. So take this funny stuff away and get me my yo-yo bitter now.
Yo-yo bitters is naturally enriched with ingredients that flushes out the body impurities, tackles waist pain, and resolves constipation. It is also fortified with vitamins. Yo-yo bitters boosts your body immunity against diseases and free radicals.
Because it is different in formula and action, I don't accept substitute.
Yo-yo bitters, clean inside out.
Now, what could make someone set out on a journey and not get to his or her destination? Now, imagine the victim who cannot reach out to these responders, who doesn't even have the phone to reach out. Hello, thank you very much for joining us on platform. I'm Ruth Agwe.
And the girl, especially if the girl is a minor, she's not yet 18 years, if she gets pregnant, realize that such girl is sent out of school and the boy is left in school.
Just park to pick the call.
So how much sensitization is the FRS?
I don't agree. A lot of people are just deaf.
Terminals. A total of 174,215 persons and businesses from the southeast have benefited from the Micro, Small, Medium Enterprises Survival Fund and Guaranteed Offtake Scheme initiated by the federal government to support micro and small businesses in Nigeria. Chika Ugu reports that this was revealed in a town hall meeting organized to highlight the scheme's achievements around the country.
The Micro, Small and Medium Enterprise MSME Survival Fund and Guaranteed Offtake Scheme is an intervention by the federal government under the Nigerian Economic Sustainability Plan to stimulate the economy after the lockdown occasioned by COVID-19 pandemic by providing opportunity for MSMEs through grants. This town hall meeting reveals that the implementation of the survival fund across the 5 tracks yielded positive results.
The Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment expresses its appreciation to His Excellency President Muhammad Buhari for the approval of the various interventions for the growth and development of the economy.
The scheme, which recorded a total of 32,285 beneficiaries under the 5 tracks of implementation in Enugu State, were verified and chosen.
Over 6,000 business certificates to entrepreneurs, both young and old, to start a business.
A project most people did not believe until they began to see the dividends.
I opened up the inbox and found some 10,000 naira.
162 MSMEs who successfully delivered their products in Enugu State were awarded certificates of commendation in Enugu. Chika Ugu, NTA News.
As part of efforts to build capacity through sharing of knowledge and ideas, concerned value chain actors of the International Fund for Agricultural Development IFAD assisted project have visited a sister program of livelihood improvement family enterprises projects Life ND in Abia State. Steve Lunai Nwokolo reports on a 3-day visit.
The 3 days workshop of the BCDP on knowledge sharing with the Livelihood Improvement Family Enterprises Program, Life ND in Abia State, saw the value chain development program actors drawn from the north, central, and the southeast zones of the country learn on the overview of the BCDP and Life ND nutrition interventionist approach, results and lessons amongst other issues affecting the two sister projects. National Coordinator of BCDP, who outlined the importance of the BCDP project, said it is aimed at achieving economic growth and food security in the country.
The AF is focusing on 3 key areas, which is women and youth empowerment, smart agriculture, nutrition mainstreaming, and financial inclusion.
State Coordinator of Life ND in Abia State sued for concerted efforts towards the successful implementations of the two sister programs.
One of the conditions we give to any potential beneficiary is that you must identify where the inputs we are going to provide for you in terms of your empowerment, where it will be used.
The workshop also took the BCDP team on a guided tour to some of the Life ND IFAD assisted farms of the beneficiaries. In Umuahia, Steve Lona and Nwokolo, NTA News.
And that's our contribution from Enugu. Is back to Lydia in Abuja for more reports on Nationwide.
Many thanks, Comfort. For the past 5 months, students and their parents have been anxious to hear that ASU has called off the protracted industrial action, only for ASU to roll over the strike for another 4 weeks. The union claimed the period is to give government more time to address the contending issues. In this report, Abdullahi Musa Suleja takes a look at the implication of the unending strike.
The contentious issues between government and ASU have been in public domain. Talks between the two have been on, but students of public universities remain at home for long enough to cover an entire session. While private universities operate for people who can afford the fees, average parents are left with option of public universities that have lean vacancies considering the high number of admission seekers in the country.
It has a negative effect. Other countries, they are moving forward. And our children are set back.
The extension of strike for another 4 weeks is described as one disaster too many.
It's really unfair, and the parents are really not happy about that. There's no money.
There are a lot of problems that this crisis has caused.
The students' lives are being destroyed morally, psychologically, and every form of development is being truncated.
I'm tired. I'm tired of this whole strike. I want to go back to school.
Almost on every account of its industrial action, ASU extracts some sort of financial commitment from the government, and this seems to constitute some kind of win situation until the next strike action.
My plea here is ASU should make a better consideration. Federal government should make the best of all consideration.
For 2 million young people who listen to the community, and then these 2 million, uncontrolled energies, so you have rape, you have armed robbery.
Certainly, observers are keen to see the resolution of this unhealthy development in Nigerian university system to enable the institutions compete favorably with their counterparts in the world. Abdullahi Musa Suleja, NTA News.
Meanwhile, there is an outcry regarding the lingering ASU strike, which many say is affecting the mindset of students for being idle. Let's hear their reactions.
Okay, ASU will strike. It's bad. The future of the country is being bastardized. The future of the progress of the country is they are making things so worse.
People who are about to graduate, but because of the ASU strike, they've been at home for extra 6 months or thereabouts. And yesterday when I heard about the extension by 4 weeks, I wasn't happy because, like I told you, I have somebody who was supposed to be graduating very soon, but due to the ASU strike, they have to still stay home longer than necessary.
When people say government, it's not government only. We're the lecturers, because I heard that one of the problems that was persisting was that lecturers were not ready. Mostly the profs, they be in the IPPS pay system. They're supposed to be. Because also that has also an effect that one lecturer will be having lectures in about 5-7 universities. It also has dampened on the employment rate of the new graduates.
Among the students, I had a friend during an ASU strike in 2001 or 2000 or thereabout. He became depressed.
rather than allowing the students to stay on for 5 months, whereby a lot of things are going on. The student morale, the student brain, the student academic performance will not be the way it used to be before.
Improvement in trade dispute resolution mechanisms through the implementation of already domesticated international labor standards form the basis for a capacity workshop organized by Industrial Arbitration Panel in collaboration with the International Labour Organization (ILO). 8 core ILO conventions on advancing social justice and promoting decent work have been revisited for stability in the workplace. Emmanuel Ayimiro reports.
Of recent, many agitations have led to industrial unrest, where alternative dispute resolutions have failed to resolve such issues. This is aside major factors like technology, demography or climate change, globalization and labor market correctly impacting on jobs and workers. Discussants at the workshop say the only way out is through the application of relevant labor standards to prevent crises in the world of work.
And it is this world of work that keeps changing. And because it keeps changing, we may, for instance, have to fall back on best practices, on standards, as may be enjoined by ILO.
We know that through social dialogue, a lot of our challenges can actually be tackled when we come together as honest parties to the conversation.
The need for the passage of pending labor bills at the National Assembly to guarantee the exercise of fair labor practices at the world of work also re-echoed.
The 4 bills mentioned by the chairman, I want the House to look at it and also call on my minister to look into that, to ginger that committee to submit the report and send to us for further legislative duties.
Sometimes, even people who are versed in labor matters, they don't equip themselves with the contents of the Trade Dispute Act.
Going forward, all stages of dispute resolution mechanisms are expected to be duly explored to avoid industrial crisis. Emmanuel Ayemiro, NTA News.
With the introduction of Basic Education Service Delivery for All, the Kebbi State Universal Basic Education Board has not recorded any case of school dropout across the state. This was disclosed by the Executive Secretary of the board, Professor Khalid Suleiman, at the flag-off ceremony of Best Star claims by the National Bureau of Statistics in Birnin Kebbi. Usman Abdullahi Shehu reports.
The occasion marked the commencement of enumeration and verification exercise of the State Universal Basic Education Board BESDA program with the objective of improving equitable access to basic education and literacy for all. The executive chairman of the board, Professor Khalid Suleiman, said the program has continued to strengthen accountability and yielding fruits.
They are here to verify all activities that we have conducted and things that we put in place to reduce to the barest minimum the number of out of school and other programs that we put in place to strengthen the system.
The State Commissioner for Basic Education, Muhammadu Magawata Aliru, said government is committed to improving the education sector as over 27% of the state's 2022 budget was allocated to it. The State Officer, National Bureau of Statistics, Saidu Saleh, and the Executive Secretary of the board, Umar Hassan, comment on the development.
All the local governments are going to bring our service to justice all our population. I'm sure the caliber of something like here we are going to attend a far district training.
It is gladdening to point out here that out of the 17 participating states, Kebbi State stands the highest in terms of reduction of out of school children.
The occasion was attended by stakeholders from the educational sector within and outside the state. In Birnin Kebbi, Usman Abdullahi Shehu, NTA News.
Thank you for staying with us. We now join Asma'u in Sokoto for more reports. Hello Asma'u, it's over to you.
Media, good evening and welcome to Sokoto. Governor Aminu Waziri Tambol has directed the Governing Council of the Shehu Shagari College of Education, Sokoto, to convene a meeting and plan for immediate reopening of the institution for academic activities. Dalhatu Abdullahi reports that Tambol gave the directives while receiving a report of the committee set up to investigate the immediate and remote causes of students' unrest in the college.
The 12-member committee, headed by Engineer Abdullahi Bakali, was set up on the 13th of May 2022, a day after the students' unrest in the Shehu Shagari College of Education, Sokoto. Submitting the report to the governor, the committee chairman, Engineer Abdullahi Bakali, stated that the committee has done a thorough job and come up with recommendations that will forestall any future occurrence of such eventualities in the college.
It is our ardent hope, sir, that the recommendations therein will help in putting a stop to such unrest now and in future.
Governor Aminu Waziri Tambol, while commending the committee members for a job well done, believed that the recommendations formulated by the committee can forestall similar occurrence not only in Shehu Shagari College of Education, Sokoto, but all the tertiary institutions in the state.
Having received the report of the committee and have heard from several stakeholders and leaders in the state on the need for the college to be reopened so that students can come back and continue their studies, I hereby direct the council to meet with a view of reopening the institution soonest.
He also used the occasion to appeal to federal government and the Academic Staff Union of Universities to find a common ground for the prolonged ASU strike. In Sokoto, Dalhatu Abdullahi, NTA News.
The federal government's drive to provide job opportunities for Nigerian youths under the Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency has gained a boost in Sokoto. Shehu Muhammad Dati reports that 90 youths under the SMIDAN program were trained in different skills for self-reliance.
70 out of the youths were trained in tailoring, 10 catering, and the remaining 10 trained on phones repairs. Each of the trained youths were presented with starter packs to start business. Director General SMIDAN Asiwaju Wale Pasnya said SMIDAN is one of the Nigeria's critical sector in developing Nigerian economy. Represented by Mashud Lawal, the Director General described SMIDAN as not only agency that provide vocational skills but drastically reducing redundancy and poverty.
So this project, among others, is to help the Nigerian youth to be able to compete globally. Anywhere they go, they will be able to run their businesses and be able to do very well and be one of the best.
Manager SMIDAN Sokoto office, Maaz Muhammad Barau, challenged the beneficiaries to take advantage of the opportunity to become self-reliant.
And this is a program with the aim of developing micro, small and medium entrepreneurs by training them in entrepreneurship development training, and at the same time equipping them with a vocational and a skills acquisition training in order to make them self-reliant.
Asma Abdul Rashid and Muhammad Bello, who are among the trained youths, said they have benefited immensely.
I learned so much about tailoring.
Relevant stakeholders that include Export Promotions Council and SOSMIDA and the State Ministry of Commerce admonished the youths to make good use of the starter packs given to them. The youths were drawn from the 23 local government areas of the state. In Sokoto, Shehu Muhammad Dati, NTA News.
And that is our package from Sokoto. Do not forget to follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live. We will take a short break, and when we return, there will be more news from Benin. Good evening.
Pleased that the Buhari-led administration has made remarkable progress,
like Lafia Transmission Station nearing completion.
Africa does not need charity, but partnerships that will promote the adequate investment
with the cooperation of all.
Sharing firsthand the experiences of reporters on the field as they bring to you weekly the beauty of Nigeria's diverse culture and the economic potentials therein. The Correspondents, Development through the eye of the grassroots. Showing every Monday at 1:30 p.m. on the network service of the NTA, with a repeat broadcast on NTA News 24 and NTA International. Join us.
Nigerians, elections are here again. Let us shun violence. Let us play the game according to the rules. Do not be a thug. Say no to violence. Let's rise and defeat violence, crime, and sabotage against the peace of our nation. Nigeria is the only country we have. We must do everything to keep it united. We must avoid any act that promotes hate and disintegration. Say no to separatist movement, terrorism, fake news, hate speech, religious bigotry, and any act that tends to divide us as a nation. Watch out for strange gatherings and suspicious movements. Restrict access to sensitive documents and data, the disclosure of which may damage national security. Educate your staff and family, particularly on measures to safeguard information and report security breaches. Apply relevant legal security guidelines to protect yourself and your neighbors. Due to misinformation and wrong choices, some idle persons resort to vices in their greed to get rich quick. They resort to kidnapping, killings for rituals, and other heinous crimes. Avoid wrong use of the social media. Before you broadcast that false message, think twice. Ask whether it will promote peace or violence. For safety at home, still be security conscious. Educate your household in safety tips. Report all suspicious movements and persons to the security agencies nearest to you. Be a good citizen. Be patriotic. To pass security information, please call 0813-222-2105, 0915-339-1309, 0908-837-3514, or send a mail to dsspr@dss.gov.ng. This message is from the Department of State Services, DSS.
As political parties and their candidates prepare for 2023 election campaign activities, most Nigerians are expecting to hear issue-based campaign messages that will address some of the nation's most pressing challenges. Jude Abugu, who spoke with some Benin residents on their expectations from candidates during election campaigns, tells us more.
With the continuous voter registration exercise successfully concluded, Nigerians are now shifting attention to what solutions, policies, and ideas political parties and their candidates can bring to the table for a robust political debate. Rising unemployment, insecurity, high cost of living, epileptic power supply, and insensate industrial actions are some of the issues they expect candidates to address.
What you see today is that predominantly there is unemployment in this country, and therefore so many are in the street doing what they can in order to exist. I think that itself accounted for the major part of the insecurity we have in the country.
We expect them to address issues affecting the development of the country. In terms of infrastructure, in terms of cultural development.
Although election campaign messages are designed in persuasive and convincing manners, Nigerians expect messages that are civil and realistic in terms of language and contents.
So the person coming to promise what he cannot do, but obviously he put himself in some kind of edge, because people will now hold you accountable.
We expect a campaign without violence. I mean, there shouldn't be any kind of problem and all that.
Campaigns for presidential and National Assembly elections are expected to commence on 28 September, while that of governorship and state assembly elections commences on October 12 this year. In Benin, Jude Abugu, NTA News.
Governor Godwin Obaseki has identified mismanagement of resources as a major problem militating against the economic growth of the country. This was when he met leaders of the Nigerian Labour Congress and affiliate unions in the state on the lingering strike by public universities in the country. Elizabeth Omoko reports.
The meeting is a fallout of the peaceful solidarity protest by the unions in the state a few days ago over the federal government's delay in addressing the demands by the university-based unions. Governor Basaki sees labor union in the state as partners in progress. Hence, he is grateful to the leadership of the State Council for the peace his administration has achieved. He promises to join hands with relevant stakeholders to do all it takes to manage the affairs of the country. State Chairman of Labour Union, Chief Olaye Odion, is thankful to the governor for the recent implementation of workers' salary and for creating a conducive environment for workers.
In Edo State, under my leadership, we wrote to Mr. Governor over the suspension of union activities in some schools. Today we met with him. The matter we have deliberated on it successfully, and in a very short period it will be a thing of the past.
The Academic Staff Union of University rolled over its ongoing strike by another 4 weeks after 5 months of industrial actions. In Benin, Elizabeth Omoko, NTA News.
And Lydia, we are done from here. It's back to you.
Thank you so much. African security challenges can only be solved by Africans through joint efforts by security agencies and civilians living at the rural areas. Nigeria's Chief of Defense Staff General Lucky Irabo and the President of Rwanda, Paul Kagame, made the assertion at an event marking the 30th anniversary of the National Defense College, Abuja. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa reports.
Nigeria, just like many other countries in Africa, is faced with diverse security challenges. These threats range from terrorism, banditry, and secessionist agitation, amplified by proliferation of small and light weapons. To complement ongoing efforts to stem these threats, citizens at the grassroots must provide timely intelligence reports to security agencies.
There is therefore a need for members of the larger society to see security challenges in Nigeria as a collective responsibility. Citizens must themselves stay away from crime and report persons who engage in criminal pursuits. All government agencies must use their medium of influence to remind Nigerians on the need to be more security conscious. The executive and the judiciary could also improve strategic communication and reduce institutional bottlenecks. Therefore, we need to think out of the box and develop strategies that would enhance security and national development in Nigeria.
President Paul Kagame of Rwanda charged African countries to see the war against insurgency as an internal and a collective responsibility rather than resorting to external help.
We must work closely together within our regional organizations and also bilaterally to tackle those threats in a holistic manner. We can work with external partners, but ultimately Africa has to be in the lead to ensure continuity and good results.
The event is part of ongoing activities marking the National Defense College 30th anniversary. From the National Defense College in Abuja, Ismail Musa.
Unquote, Nigerians demand from us a high level of commitment in tackling the current security threats in the country. End of quote. These were the words from the Inspector General of Police, Usman Alkali Baba, to the strategic commanders of the force in Abuja. Francis Foremost there.
This is the meeting of the field commanders of the force with the Inspector General of Police since the Kuje Custodial Center attack. The meeting is to, among other things, to review the extent of compliance with the directives that police commanders liaise with the Nigerian Correctional Service authorities in their areas of responsibility, jointly review the security architecture with a view to identifying vulnerabilities at the custodial facilities and complement the service in upscaling security in and around such facilities to prevent any further security breach in line with the directives of Mr. President.
You are all directed to immediately commence a special visibility policing operation across your commands. This initiative will encompass the crime mapping of your areas of jurisdiction, identification of vulnerable points, and the massive deployment of personnel on motorized and foot patrols of the cities. The initiative also involves the utilization of intelligence to undertake targeted raids on criminal cells.
Another issue on the table for deliberation at the meeting is the National Security Council's resolution on the documentation and streamlining of the operations of commercial motorcycle and tricycle riders across the country as part of the national initiative that are directed at addressing current and evolving national security threats.
Much as the law has bestowed on us certain powers and authorities,
the IGP warns that any police officer who betrays his service oath and tramples on the rights of citizens will be identified, isolated, and dealt with. Francis from NTA News.
Meanwhile, Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello has warned traditional rulers, politicians, and security personnel with criminal tendencies to either vacate the state or face the wrath of the law. The governor read the Riot Act during a security meeting with stakeholders at the Government House, Lokoja. Correspondent Solomon Alidehin reports.
The security meeting at the instance of Governor Bello is in response to a security breach that led to the death of 3 police officers and 5 local vigilantes in Ajaokuta local government area last Saturday. He described security as everybody's business, stressing that his administration will not relent in its responsibility of protecting and securing the lives and property of the people. He urged traditional rulers, local government chairmen, security operatives, and other stakeholders to partner with his administration to keep Kogi State safe. To prevent further security breakdown, the governor ordered the immediate demolition of shanties at Obajana, Okaba, Lokoja, Zango, Itobi, and Osara, and urged factory owners to provide decent accommodation and transportation for their workers or risk being shut down.
Special interests, other than I should remember that when Yahaya was the executive governor of Kogi State, there was peace, unity, security, and prosperity. And I need all of you to cooperate with me.
Some stakeholders, while commending the government, promised collaboration. In Lokoja, Solomon Ayedehi, NTA News.
The situation in Kwali Area Council is under control and the police is not sparing any effort to deal with perceived threats. That assurance is coming from the Divisional Police Officer Kwali Police Division during an engagement with Nigerian Educational Research and Development Council. Ekanem Dulue reports.
Recently, Kwali in FCT has been in the news for the wrong reasons. Stories of kidnap, threats of terrorist attack, and closure of FGC Kwali are all indications of breach of security, spreading fear across the FCT. The man in the thick of the action, DPO Kwali Police Division, says collaborative efforts with vigilantes and members of the community have produced positive results.
Sincerely speaking, for now, Kwali is calm. We have a lot of intelligence gathering from all the angles, which immediately when we receive them, we respond, whether in the night, in the day.
Indeed, security is a collective responsibility, and NERDC is not taking a backseat. For starters, they are presenting the police division with a computer and printer as they seek other ways to assist the police.
Yeah, so the whole purpose of the meeting is to actually have interaction with the police and to assure them of our cooperation, and also for them to give us the assistance in whatever form.
Intelligence information from the public will go a long way in stemming the tide of insecurity, says the DPO as he drives away to continue his job.
The acting Corps Marshal, Dauda Ali Biu, has issued directives to the 37 sector commanders to commence with immediate effect full force enforcement on any motorcycle seen without appropriate registration. A statement by the Corps indicates that the directive is to comply with federal government's order on clamping down of unregistered motorcycles on Nigerian roads. The order was necessitated by the state of insecurity and the need to curb it by bringing to a halt the continuous operations of these categories of vehicles without registration on our roads. As part of efforts to ensure safe operational costs, promote principles of ethics and integrity, the Hydroelectric Power Producing Areas Development Commission, HYPADEC, is training its management staff in the Accounts and Administration Department of the Commission. The two-day workshop, held in collaboration with the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, and Ahmadu Bello University Consultant Services, is aimed at ensuring effective service delivery and a corrupt-free entity. Fatima Usman reports.
The training seeks to encourage the financial and administrative management staff on the need to maintain decorum, law and order through accountability and prudency in the discharge of their duties. The initiative is expected to expose the participants to the role of ICPC in the fight against corruption and promotion of moral values, budget and budgetary process as a tool for financial discipline. It is also aimed at keeping them abreast on guiding fiscal policies and due process in HYPADEC to ensure functional and corrupt-free entity.
We started with a series of training. Therefore, even at point 1, we were able to draw the difference between what is right and what is wrong, administratively, financially, and operationally.
One of the things that actually handicaps a lot of MDS in service delivery is the inability to conform to rules and regulations. Training always is very, very handy to MDS to actually overcome this kind of issues.
7 core value is encapsulated in national ethics and integrity policy. All Nigerians are expected to imbibe these values so that we will have a moral value in our society.
In Mina, I'm Fatima Usman, NTA News.
I'll join Cynthia Ogun for Sports Update.
Botswana's Wesley Tebogo became the fastest man of the World Under-20 Championship for using a jaw-dropping display of sprinting to smash his World Under-20 100 meters record and retain his title in 9.91 seconds to win gold in Cali, Colombia. Wesley successfully defended his title ahead of Bowoche Mokreme of Jamaica, who ran a national junior record of 10.02 seconds to come second. 7 female athletes and officials are set to represent Nigeria at this year's West African Karate Championships in Burkina Faso. The athletes who arrived Burkina Faso Tuesday are expected to join other countries for the 5-day tournament scheduled to begin Thursday. The football, ahead of the Premier League season, which will commence in the next 2 days, Premier League players will stop taking a knee before every game and will use the gesture at specific moments during the season to amplify the message that racism has no place in football. It will be recalled that players and staff have been taking a knee prior to kickoff since the return of the league football from COVID-19 pandemic in June 2020 to show support for the Black Lives Matters movement. The gesture will instead be seen before certain rounds of games, including the Boxing Day fixtures and Cup finals. And finally, to tennis, British number 1 Emma Raducanu's preparation to defend her US Open title got underway with a first-round win over Louis Chirico in Washington. The 19-year-old came through 6-4, 6-2 in 87 minutes to earn her first victory of the North American hard court season. With Sports Update, Cynthia Ogun, NTA News.
And that's it. But before we go, a reminder that you can always join NTA in the campaign against rape and rapists. Thank you for watching. I'm Lydia Odijochi. Good evening.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can watch NTA International live on your TV, computer, iPad, tablet and phone. Log on to visiontv.co.uk and click on Entertainment, then NTAI. You can also download the iOS or Android app on your mobile devices to watch NTA International on the go, anywhere in the world. NTA International, your window to the world.
Although social media as a channel of communication is inherently harmless, it becomes harmful and damaging when used without discretion and thoughtfulness. Bad social media users spread rumors and fake news without verification. But good social media users stop, reflect, and verify information before sharing it. Be a good social media user. Stop the spread of fake news. Verify the authenticity of your source and use social media responsibly for a better Nigeria. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, in collaboration with the National Orientation Agency.
Service of the NTA.
Hello again to all our friends across Nigeria. Welcome to Walk It Out of the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority, the NTA. On today's edition of the program, we have got 4 contestants who are vying for the top spot in today's competition. Let's go ahead now and introduce our contestants. Contestant A.
My name is Godfrey. I'm GSS 2.
Let's meet contestant B.
My name is Udoji Winifred. I'm GS 3.
Contestant C.
My name is Sadiq Ibrahim. I'm in GS 2.
And contestant D.
My name